So what could a wild fantasy novel and, say, a serious news report on climate change possibly have in common? I mean, on the surface, absolutely nothing, right? Well, it turns out they both follow a secret set of rules, kind of like hidden blueprints that show exactly how they're built. So let's pull back that curtain, because once you see these two blueprints, I promise you're going to start seeing them everywhere.
And boom, right away you can just feel the difference. Over on the left, we've got a story. It's designed to pull you into another world, right? But on the right, we've got a fact, something made to explain how our real world works. One is all about entertainment, the other is all about explanation. They're basically playing two completely different games.
So what's the real deal here? What truly separates these two things? It's way more than just made up versus real. It comes down to the fundamental purpose, the actual architecture of the writing itself. And getting this is like getting a backstage pass to how pretty much all information and stories are put together. Okay, this table just lays it all out perfectly. You've got fiction over here. Think of your favorite movie or novel. The whole point is to entertain you with an invented story. And then you've got nonfiction, like a documentary or a news article, which uses real, factual stuff to inform or explain something. You see? That core purpose changes everything about how it's written.
All right, let's start by cracking open the storyteller's toolkit. See, when an author is building a story, they're not just throwing random ideas at a page. Nope, they're using a very specific set of tools to craft a world that feels real and hooks you in.
And the first tool, the absolute bedrock of any story, is the plot. You can think of it as the skeleton that holds the whole thing up. It's not just a list of stuff that happens. It's the engine that pushes the story forward, all designed to make you ask that one simple, powerful question. Okay, what happens next? And here it is, the universal roadmap for almost every story you've ever heard. It kicks off with the exposition. That's the setup. Then you get the rising action, where all the tension builds and builds. That leads to the climax, the big peak moment. After that, things start to wind down in the falling action, leading us to the final resolution at the end.
Next up in the toolkit, the setting. Now this is so much more than just the background scenery. Is our story in a dusty old castle or a gleaming futuristic city? The setting totally dictates the mood, the rules of the world, and gives context for why characters do what they do.
Ah, and here we have the story's heartbeat. Conflict. Seriously, without conflict, you don't have a story. You just have stuff happening. This could be the hero fighting the villain, a character battling their own inner demons, or someone trying to survive in the wild. That struggle is what keeps us glued to the page.
Of course, a great plot and a cool setting don't mean much without people we care about. Characters are the true heart of a story. They're the ones we connect with, root for, and sometimes even get mad at. Let's see how they tick.
Now at the core of most stories, you've got these two major players. The protagonist, that's your main character, the person whose journey we're following. But you know, their journey would be kind of boring without the antagonist. That's the person or force that gets in their way and creates all that juicy conflict we just talked about.
And characters aren't all created equal. Some are what we call static. They're basically the same person at the end of the story as they were at the beginning. But the ones we really remember, they're usually dynamic. They go through something that changes them. They learn, they grow, they evolve.
I mean, just think about Cinderella. It's a perfect example. She starts the story as this meek, downtrodden servant, but by the end, she's transformed into a confident princess. That huge internal and external shift is exactly what makes her a dynamic character.
Okay, everybody, hard pivot. We're leaving the world of storytellers and stepping into the world of explainers. In this world, the goal isn't to take you on an emotional journey. It's all about informing you, clearly and logically. And you guessed it, this world has its own set of blueprints.
The official term for this kind of writing is expository text. Now, that might sound a little academic, I know, but the key word in there is expose. Its entire mission is to expose you to information, to lay out facts and ideas as clearly as humanly possible. Think of your science textbooks, how-to articles, that kind of thing.
So, what are the dead giveaways you're reading on? Well, first, it's all about the facts. There's no room for fiction here. Second, it's organized for logic, not for drama. And a big one, it uses these little signal words that are like signposts for your brain. Most importantly, its job is to give you information, not tell a story.
So, just like a story has a plot, informational writing has logical structures.
These are these tried-and-true patterns for organizing facts so our brains can actually absorb them without getting confused. Let's check out a few of the most common ones.
First up, we have cause and effect. This one is super straightforward. It's all about connecting an action to its outcome. If you see words like because, as a result, or therefore, ding, 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 that's a huge clue the writer is explaining a chain reaction.
And here's a crystal clear example. The cause? A rise in vehicles. The effect? Respiratory problems. See how that works? The structure doesn't just give you two separate facts, it locks them together in a logical relationship. Next, there's problem and solution. Oh, you see this one all the time in reports, opinion pieces, you name it. The writer identifies an issue that needs fixing, and then they propose a way to, well, fix it. The signal words are usually pretty obvious, like problem and solution.
Here's a perfect real-world example. It frames plastic waste not just as a fact, but as an active problem. Then, it immediately follows up with a potential solution. It's a blueprint that's literally designed to spur action.
Another really common one is sequence, or sometimes called process. This is your recipe, your IKEA instruction manual, your history textbook. It organizes information in a step-by-step or chronological order. If you see first, next, then, and finally, you know you're in a sequence.
And what better way to show a sequence than making a sandwich, right? It's a simple example, but it perfectly shows how this structure takes a bigger task and breaks it down into small, easy-to-follow steps. With this one, the order is everything.
So, we've explored the hidden blueprints for both stories and facts. And you might be thinking, okay, cool, but why does this matter? Well, because understanding this stuff isn't just for writers or English class. It's like you've just unlocked a new superpower. From here on out, you're not just going to be a passive reader or watcher anymore. You're going to see the architecture hiding underneath everything. You'll spot the 5 stages of plot in the next blockbuster movie, and you'll recognize the problem-solution structure in a news article. So the real question is, what are you going to notice first?
So, what topic should we cover next? Leave it in the comments and subscribe for our next videos. Bye-bye.